Last time when we published the Q800T soundbar review, some of you guys asked us if we will take a look at the Q900T soundbar. Well, what we have here today is not the 900T, but instead is its bigger brother, the Q950T soundbar that has 9.1.4 channels of sound. So what kind of special this soundbar has in comparison with the Q800T? In this video, we'll talk about that. Now, first thing first, before we get into the details about the Q950T, we have to address a little bit the difference between the 950T and the 900T. Now, they are essentially the same soundbar, except that the 950T comes included with the two rear channel sound satellite speakers. Meanwhile, for the price, yes, the 950T is more expensive, comes at 6,499 ringgit Malaysia, while the Q900T comes at 4,999 ringgit Malaysia. When we received the Q950T soundbar, we were quite happy because the box itself is the regular rectangular box instead of the non-conventional L-shaped box. We know that kind of box is very difficult to handle, and the reason why they give us a standard rectangular box is because of that extra two satellite speakers. Now, I doubt you guys will be worried about the box handling, because most of the time, if you were to purchase this kind of home appliances or living room hi-fi system, usually you just let the electrical shop, the guys, the installer, to help you handle everything. So not really a huge concern, but just how we reviewers think that the box is. Now, what comes inside the box for the Q950T? First thing first is the soundbar itself. Apart from that is also the 8-inch subwoofer unit, and as well as the two rear channel satellite units. Inside of the box also comes with 4 individual power cables. I'll come back to the reason why they give you 4 power cables later on. Other than the power cables, you also get a single HDMI cable, which is for you to connect the soundbar to your audio source. Now, apart from that, you also get a remote control that is powered by 2 AA batteries. And all of that, they also included the wall mount bracket for if in case you want to mount the soundbar to the wall together with your TV. But in our case, as you can see here, we just put it on the table here, and it doesn't really block, and don't really block a lot of the screen real estate here if you're using the Samsung TVs. And that brings us to the design of the Q950T. Now, unlike the Q800T, first thing I realized for this soundbar is the finishing. It is using the quadrat fabric. In case you don't know, this fabric is a premium fabric company where they usually supply this for those designers, architectures, and especially nowadays they start to involve in this kind of tech products, design and stuff like this. In case you guys don't know, Quadrat actually, this is not the first time they work with Samsung. Last time they actually worked with Samsung to make this Galaxy S20 phone case, whereby the case itself is using the weave plastic. Those plastics they previously collected back from those ocean plastics. So some of these as a message telling people that how, some of us is not really taking care of the environment. So the Quadrat fabric is found on the soundbar itself, as well as the subwoofer's driver cover, and including the satellites cover, the front and the top as well. Now, apart from that, if you were to compare this with the 800T, you will notice that they have removed the front display to the top. Now, I would really prefer how they move the display to the top over here, because I personally find that the display that's hidden behind the metal grille is kind of difficult to look unless you have to pay some attention to it. But this time, the display is a dedicated small display, and it doesn't really show a lot of information. Maximum, I believe it can only show about 3 to 5 characters, but that should be sufficient. And if you were to connect the speaker to the TV, I guess you don't even need to look at the display anymore. Now, beside the display is 4 buttons. The first button is the power button and mode change button, whereby you can turn it on or you can switch it to different modes like different input, HDMI 1, HDMI 2, EARC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, things like that. Personally, because we are using it together with the TV, so we just leave it in eARC mode. And you can, of course, change the volume, or even there is a mic mute button.
Mic off.
And there is even a
mic on.
Because this speaker actually supports far-field microphone, so that you can actually give command to it. Let's say connecting it to your Alexa system, then you can give command saying that, okay, play my favorite music or whatsoever. I personally don't really use this much of voice control features because we have slightly different English accent compared to those English-speaking countries. Now, if we were to look at the back of the soundbar itself, there is a couple of cables you can, play with it. Now, number one, of course, is a power input for the soundbar, and there are 3 HDMI ports. One of it is actually supporting eARC, and the other 2 is basically for the HDMI pass-through. And this soundbar also supports digital audio input as well, but personally, I believe eARC is the better option for this kind of configuration, because you just connect it to your TV, and whenever you turn on the TV, the soundbar will just turn on. Without further ado, let me just take you through how we set up this soundbar in our test environment over here. The soundbar is just simple, just put it at the front of the TV, and the 2 satellites is placed at the rear right and rear left over there. Now that explains why you need all the power cables in the box. There are 4 power cables, 1 for the soundbar, 1 for the subwoofer, and 2 individually for the satellite speakers on the left and right. This is the part where things get a little bit interesting, because these 4 components, they are talking to each other wirelessly. So you just have to power them up, and you don't need to figure ways to pull a dedicated cable from the soundbar to the back of your couch or anything. They talk to each other wirelessly, and you have less wire to have to figure it out. And speaking of which, this kind of configuration will give you 9.1.4 surround sound experience. Now, how does 9.1.4 actually means? For the soundbar, this is the most complicated soundbar I have ever seen in my life. I just tell you, 9.1.4, the 9 means that you have 9 different channels over here. 1 for the left side, another 1 for the wide left, another 1 for the left, that's 3 already, center 4, right 5, wide right 6, right 7, and then your rear right and then rear left, that is 9 channel for the, we'll call this the horizontal channel, 9 channels. 9.1, the 0.1 is of course for the woofer unit, and then the 0.4, yes, 0.4 is that 2 channels left and right that firing upwards, another 2 channels at the satellite pointing upwards as well. So that covers, well, almost everywhere, except you don't have the dedicated left and right speakers, but this is good enough. Now, as for the sound quality, here's the challenge we are facing right now, because yes, we do have all these speakers placed around in our test studio over here. Unfortunately, because YouTube is only supporting stereo output, that means even if I have dedicated microphones that pointing at different locations to collect all the sound, I'm still unable to bring this exact same experience for you guys. But this is the best I can let you guys experience. We just put a microphone, an omnidirectional microphone in the middle, and just hope you guys can somehow experience a little bit what we are experiencing over here while listening to the Q950T soundbar.
bright midnight. You can say all that you want, but you and I were meant for this. You know, sometimes we hide behind this illusion that we're done. Oh, please see that you're wrong in this. I don't fall in love cause I'm here tonight. I don't wanna say it, but it just feels right. I think a girl just to pass the time. I want to stay at the back of your mind. Say you won't fight and don't get me wrong, but I'm done with these days. I'm too afraid. You and I are
Okay, so I hope you guys really enjoyed this preview, and well, I'm not too sure how is the microphone picking up the sound. I hope you guys can actually get some idea how all this thing works. And by far, our experience while using this is amazing, especially with the additional 2 satellite rear speakers. It's simply different from how you can experience from those virtual surround. You know, virtual surround is a common thing. Especially nowadays, they're just trying to like adjust and change the frequency here and there, left and right, so that you can like somehow feel that, oh, this is a surround. But it will never be the same if you have actual speakers placed around you. Especially the rear 2 speakers is absolutely amazing. You can actually feel that the sound is coming from your whether left or right. So that's why. Before we end this review somehow, is that if you were planning to get the Samsung Q950T soundbar, I would really strongly suggest you to spend that extra and get the 950T. Well, they are essentially the same soundbar itself, just that the 950T comes together with that 2 satellites. Why I'm suggesting you to do so is because Malaysia, as far as I know, they are not selling the satellite speakers separately. So that's why some people are actually questioning like how they can get the satellite speaker whatsoever. Maybe you can get it in your country, but in Malaysia, you can't. So why not just go straight to the best, get the 6,500 ringgit for the 2 extra satellite speakers? Because the 900T itself is 5,000 ringgit already. So that extra 1,500 is not really that much if you can spend for this. So yeah, that's pretty much covers our review of the Samsung Q950T soundbar. Do let us know what do you guys think about this soundbar, and yep, I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, by the way, this TV, we also have another separate video talking about it. Check it out.